All right, everybody. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today. I think we have the majority of folks that are tuning into today's webinar online, so I think we'll get started. First of all, big shout out to everybody who is tuning in. I'm extremely excited about today's webinar where we're going to focus on two of my favorite itineraries, the Heart of the Arctic program and the High Arctic Explorer. What I would like to do first is just a brief introduction to Adventure Canada, our style of travel, and a little bit of information on our vessel before we do a deep dive on the expeditions themselves. So my name is MJ Swan. I'm the Director of Business Development and also an expedition leader with Adventure Canada, and I will be your host for today's webinar. So first, history of the company. Adventure Canada was founded in 1987 by my father, actually, Matthew Swan, along with his brother Bill and good friend David Fries. These days, it's myself and my two lovely sisters pictured here, Cedar and Alana. So it's very much a family business. It's one of the things that sets Adventure Canada apart from some of the other operators that are out in the expedition cruising world, because we truly are a Canadian owned and family operated company. So we were established back in 1987, and the core belief, mission, and values still remain true to this day. And we believe that nature and travel has a transformative power to it. So that's why we embark on these very exciting journeys. So we believe that we can connect people to the land and to each other through these innovative travel experiences. We combined a curiosity for different cultures with a passion for exploring. And over the years, we've found that the best way to do this is in the expedition cruising style, which is not your typical cruise. Because our adventures are on a vessel, they do refer to being as a cruise, but I think expedition travel is more appropriate. And I think that you'll learn more about that as we move through this presentation today. Every day we're going to head off on a new adventure, and what we plan to do is maximize our time off of the ship and be on land as much as possible. We feel that the time spent exploring the land is so important to the success of each and every journey. Now, each expedition will offer the opportunity to find a profound sense of place in some of the most remote and beautiful places on this wonderful planet of ours. Our ship has often been described as a floating university, and Adventure Canada takes their staffing to a whole nother level. One thing we do is we have a very large expedition team. Our mandate is to have at least one expedition staff member for every 7 travelers. And often it actually is much better than that. It's even tighter ratio. One thing Adventure Canada does is we always bring local staff throughout the entire season. So no matter which destination you're looking at that Adventure Canada offers, you can enter into that with the mindset that we will bring local staff. So whether we're traveling in Greenland or in Iceland or in Scotland or throughout Canada, all of the staff are going to be local to the regions that we're exploring. Another thing that we do is we keep them fresh. Our staff only come for 1 or 2 trips at a time, and this keeps them energized and filled with enthusiasm. They don't go through that long season wear and tear. Now, the level of interpretation is at extremely high standard. On board, you're going to hear from our experts as they do an extensive program focusing on the sciences, but not only the sciences, we're also going to do a deep dive on local culture, traditions, language, food, and so on. So this level of interpretation will happen throughout the course of the journey on board the ship as you get lectures and workshops and panel discussions. But then also it's going to happen on shore when we head off and do our excursions. So what we like to do is have small groups, ideally 20 to 25 in size, and each day the traveler can select which excursion they would like to go on based on their area of interest, whether it's a geology walk or a photography walk, maybe it's a botany walk or looking at archaeology. So they can select based upon their area of interest, but also the difficulty level. This allows each individual to decide how active they want to be on that day. There'll be a variety of different distances covered and elevation gain, so each traveler can select based upon how active they want to be on a daily basis. Now, with our programs, a few things are included in the expedition. So one is we'll provide an expedition jacket. Every traveler will get a waterproof, windproof jacket that will protect them from the elements. Now, this is a shell jacket, so you're going to want to layer up underneath and still bring your fleeces and thermal clothing. But this is a good way to protect yourself from the elements. This expedition jacket is an item that each traveler will get to keep with them, so that's theirs to take home. Also included is rubber boots. There's rubber boots available for lending, so you can borrow them throughout the course of the journey, but then you can return those afterwards, just so you don't have to haul your own rubber boots or go purchase them just to bring up to the Arctic. Another thing that we have is our Nikon program. This is a very popular experience on board and throughout the expedition, where travelers can borrow Nikon equipment from the professional Nikon photographer that's on board. The Nikon photographer will teach them how to use the equipment, teach them how to manipulate the photographs afterwards, and then help them put those photographs onto a USB drive so they can take them home afterwards. It's a great way to use extremely expensive equipment and not have to pay for it. So it's always a popular program. Now, all of the Nikon program, you don't have to sign up beforehand. You can just participate on board. But one thing you do have to sign up before the trip starts is our kayaking option. So this is an opportunity to head out in a small group. There's only 12 spots on each and every departure. It costs $695 for the kayaking program throughout the entire expedition, and it always sells out quite quickly. So you're going to want to book that kayaking option if you're interested. Right at the same time as you're booking the trip. Now, our vessel, the Ocean Endeavor, we max it at 198 passengers, and this is the ideal size for the Arctic destinations that we're traveling to. She has a very shallow draft, which allows her to maneuver in tight waterways, the waterways that we wish to explore that other vessels have difficulty getting into. Now, she's ice strengthened hull. She's a class 1B, which means she's very strong. She has no problem navigating through ice waterways such as this. And also because she's ice strengthened makes her very stable in the water. She has a very thick hull, and this means that she does not move around a lot. For anybody that's listening that is concerned about motion sickness, take a very close look at the Ocean Endeavor, because this is a fantastic option. She does not move around a lot, and we have experienced that over the course of our seasons on board. Now, the Ocean Endeavor has a lot of modern amenities. It is built as an expedition ship, so we don't sell it as a luxury vessel, but it has these great features like a gym, a library, heated pool and hot tub. It has a sauna as well, also a spa if you're looking to get some relaxing massages and other items. We have a variety of different cabin types on board the ship. Now, they range greatly. There's shared dormitory style. We have interior cabins. We have exterior cabins, all ranging in different sizes and locations on the ship. But all cabin categories have ensuite washrooms, so private washroom facilities. So a great feature about the Ocean Endeavor is her free single supplement. So in categories 3 to 7, solo travelers can book into one of these cabin classes and not pay a single supplement fee to get their own private cabin. So this is a wonderful option for those that are looking to go exploring by themselves, but still enjoy a group experience. The ship has extensive lounge space on deck, so you can get out and enjoy the scenery and the wildlife while still enjoying from the comfort of the vessel. And then inside the ship, lots of great public spaces, lounges, libraries, great areas to hang out. Now, the dining room is well set up. There'll be a variety of different options at each meal time. And then dinner is actually a 4-course a la carte meal. Now, we can cater towards dietary needs. You can speak with your specialist when you call into Adventure Canada and identify your dietary needs, and we'll do our best to accommodate those for you. So that's a very brief intro, but now we can take a look at what I'm extremely passionate about and take a look at the destinations. We've set the stage here, and what we're going to focus on is our Heart of the Arctic program and High Arctic Explorer. Now, both of these are in the Arctic destination, and the Arctic offers some of the world's most spectacular hidden wonders. It's an absolutely amazing destination. I'm showing a slide here of my absolutely crazy Google Earth tracking. So this is all the destinations that I've explored in just the last 2 Arctic expedition seasons. It's been a lot, but there's many hidden gems in the Arctic, and traveling with Adventure Canada, you're going to get the wealth of experience that comes with an Arctic operator that's been up here for over 30 years. So we titled this trip Heart of the Arctic. We believe the Inuit and the people of the North are the true heart of the Arctic. It's a tribute to these beautiful people that call the Arctic home. Here's the geographic region, so you can see some familiar spots like Western Greenland, Hudson's Bay, Hudson Strait, and Davis Strait. Now, the Heart of the Arctic trip focuses in on this Hudson's Strait area. And this is mainly because of the beautiful Inuit communities here, and then also it's home to the Hudson's Bay bear population, polar bear population as well. So many people are unaware of how ecologically rich the Hudson Strait is. There's convergence of different currents here that result in an upwelling of deep ocean water, and which make this region one of the top feeding grounds for wildlife in the Canadian Arctic. Marine wildlife thrive in this area, and we can expect to see a variety of species of whales, seals, and walrus in addition to the polar bears. Now, the abundance of sea ice in late July make for optimal opportunities for polar bear viewing and wildlife viewing, and there is a chance to spot all the Arctic main species except for narwhal in this area. Also, at this time of year, it's a great opportunity to travel with the youngsters. We do encourage multi-generational travelers. So if you're looking to do a family expedition and bring some of the younger folks on board, then this is a great opportunity because it's during the summer break months and they're off school. Also, at this time of year, we get almost 24 hours of daylight, so it's a wonderful opportunity to spend time out on deck in the later parts of the day, as we'll have 24 hours of daylight. So the sun sets for an extended period of time and it never really goes down. For me, this is great because I'm not a really good photographer, but it gives me about an hour to 2 hours to try and capture these beautiful sunset pictures just because they last for so long. It's not a quick glimpse of a sunset that you're used to. You get a couple of hours at a time to try and capture the sunsets. Also at this time of year is it's warmer weather, so we're going to have the Arctic tundra in full bloom, where you're going to get to see all of these wonderful wildflowers out on the tundra. So for those of you that are into botany, this is a wonderful time of year to be up in the Arctic. Another highlight as well at this time of year would be the seabirds. Because we're in July and August, the seabirds are still out and about in the Arctic. Now let's take a closer look and do a run by of the day by day of the Heart of the Arctic program. Now that I've set the stage, the time of year and the region, the destination, that will apply to both Heart of the Arctic and High Arctic Explorer. But now we're going to do a walkthrough of each of the itineraries. So first, Heart of the Arctic. Now the trip actually starts on July 19th, but you're going to want to be in Ottawa, where our program starts the day before, with a pre-trip reception at the iconic Fairmont Chateau Laurier. We're going to just gather and do a quick introduction and welcome to the program, and then we'll break and we'll get ready for the following day. The pre-trip reception does not include a meal. It's not a dinner service. It's more just a gathering, a chance to meet the staff and get set for the next day, July 19th, when we're going to be traveling up to Iqaluit, the capital of Nunavut, where we're going to meet our vessel. So it's a very early morning departure from Ottawa. So you're going to want to be in the day before. You cannot come in on July the 19th because you won't have time to join our charter flight. So what we have is an early morning charter flight that will take us from Ottawa up to Iqaluit, and from there we'll board the expedition ship. Now, we can't promise a tour in Iqaluit just because the flights might be delayed. If we have time to explore the town, we will, but there is a strong probability that we will land on our flight in Iqaluit, and then we'll get a transfer out to the ship without time to explore the community. And what we want to do is we want to head out right away, set sail, and make our way out into Frobisher Bay. So Frobisher Bay is a great spot for wildlife. This time of year, we expect plenty of sea ice, which is also exciting. And during this first cruising day, we'll be spent out on deck looking for wildlife. Where we will go will be up to the expedition leader to decide, and it'll be based upon the ice and weather conditions. And it will really be up to them because they will know the best spot based on the conditions to try and find wildlife. So they have that flexibility to control where we go. One of my favorite spots is the Lower Savage Islands, where we've proven a great history of spotting wildlife before. So that would definitely be on the list of options. We have seen polar bears there before, and also walrus have been spotted on many occasions. After exploring Frobisher Bay, we're going to head over to the small community of Kimmirut. You can see pictured here, there's a very narrow waterway that protects the community. We'll head in down through that narrow way, set anchor, and then head in via Zodiac into the community. Very small community, population of under 400, but very engaging, very interactive community. We usually get a very warm welcome here because Adventure Canada has long-time relationships with the folks in Kimmirut. Usually local kids hanging out, playing with our staff, playing with the folks that are visiting the community. We'll get a cultural presentation here, learn more about the way of life in an Arctic community. After Kimmirut, we head over to Kinggate, which is also known as Cape Dorset. Now, this is a very interesting destination. It's a charming community located on southern Baffin Island, and it's renowned for its Inuit art. Folks travel from all over the world to Kinggate to pick up Inuit art. We're extremely fortunate to work with a gentleman named John Houston. He's a longtime Adventure Canada staff. That photograph on the right is him with original founder Matthew Swan and original founder Bill Swan. And he's been an integral part of the Adventure Canada family for decades now. And he's a major figure in the Heart of the Arctic program. His father, John Houston, played an integral role of introducing art styles and ways to create art into the Inuit communities. And so we're going to get to travel with John, learn about the history of Inuit art, and also get opportunities to try and make some Inuit prints ourselves. Once we head away from Kinggate, we're going to head a little bit further south down to the Ungava Peninsula, and these would be considered our Arctic tundra exploration days. In July, the tundra is going to be in full bloom, so there'll be chances for hiking in the Arctic tundra with a selection of different naturalists. So we'll be looking at botany, we'll be looking at the geology, there'll be plenty of birds, so we'll have an ornithologist on board. This will be great opportunities for photography as well. So there's going to be a variety of different excursion hiking options on these days. Other things we're going to look for will be Inuit archaeology sites, so learn about the generations and decades and centuries of folks that have lived in and around the region. And then also an opportunity just to find your own place and just enjoy the vastness of the Arctic and just take it all in. We're going to be hundreds, if not thousands of miles from the closest communities. So it's just an opportunity to sit down and just enjoy where we are and get a true sense of place. You can see Murray Waghorn pictured here. He's found his place, and then far off in the distance, You can see a group of folks that have gone off on a hike up the ridge line, and they're taking in some of the views as well. So you have opportunities to go off exploring, and you're not always contained into those small group experiences. If you want some freedom, you can find places for that as well. These days should be labeled with an asterisk for wildlife, because this area is very good for land critters, whales, and bears. So the expedition leader has the freedom to adjust the itinerary as needed to ensure that we're seeing plenty of wildlife throughout the course of the expedition. One spot that's always good for wildlife is Akpatak Island. This will be a zodiac cruising day where we'll get to explore these beautiful cliff faces, which are home to plenty of bird species. So July, as I mentioned, is a great time for birds. And this area here is actually named for the thick-billed murre colonies that nest here. So it's an abundance of birds, which also attract the polar bears, which are always looking for extra food sources. So this is usually a very good wildlife day. So this is our time spent in the Hudson Strait area, and then we're going to set sail, and we have a full day at sea as we cross from Canada over to Greenland. Now here there'll be plenty of onboard programming. We're going to be entertained throughout the course of the way, and we can also break down into smaller group sessions and do deep dives on the topics that are very interesting for you. Once we make our way over to Greenland, our first stop is going to be Nuuk, which is the capital of Greenland. It's a very interesting city to go exploring. Great opportunities for shopping. Getting around in the town is not difficult. One of the highlights here in Nuuk for me personally is the National Museum, the National Greenland Museum. They have seven different buildings with a number of Inuit artifacts from thousands of years. And one highlight definitely would be the Greenland mummies. This is the only spot you can see Greenland mummies. So this is a wonderful day to visit into the museums of Nuuk. And then from Nuuk, we're going to head north, and we visit a place called Evidghedfjord. Now, Evidghedfjord translates to the Fjord of Eternity, and it just feels like there's endless glaciers, endless mountains in this deep, beautiful fjord. And this is towards the end of our program. We feel that it's a beautiful way to wrap it all together. We get out in the zodiacs, we explore the glacier faces from a safe distance, and we really get to see what's happening with the Greenland ice cap from an up close perspective. So this is the second last day of the trip for the Heart of the Arctic trip. From there, we'll have an opportunity to go from Kangerlussuaq in Greenland back to Toronto for those that are calling it quits and not doing the second leg of the journey. But for those that are interested in staying on board, you don't have to take that southbound flight. You can stay in Kangerlussuaq for the day and then just wait for the incoming passengers and then set sail on the next leg of your journey, which would be the High Arctic Explorer. So there's two departures. There's the July 31st and then the August 11th departure. It's the same itinerary, it's just run in reverse. So if you're looking at either of the dates, you can expect to witness all of these highlights that I'm going to identify for you now. So the first day we'll be exploring Western Greenland. Western Greenland has these beautiful mountainscapes. We'll get off, we'll go exploring, pick a fjord that is suitable for the weather and wind conditions, and then head off on a day exploring the landscape. The next day is going to be into the community of Ilulissat. So Ilulissat is home to a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Jakobshavn Glacier feeds these massive icebergs out into a fjord, and we'll have an opportunity to walk and explore amongst these massive icebergs. You can see pictured here this boardwalk. It's very easy walking. You can head up the mouth of the fjord and take beautiful photographs of these monster-size icebergs. Part of the excitement here is not just doing the walking trails, but also being out in the expedition ship. Very strong hull. We can navigate in and around sea ice and around icebergs from a safe distance. So this is a very exhilarating experience being on the expedition ships. And then also, of course, we will drop the zodiacs and we'll go exploring up close and personal as well in the zodiac. So you'll get all three of those in this Ilulissat day, which is a highlight for many. From Ilulissat, we're going to head over to Disco Bay and another day hiking here where we'll get to explore the natural beauties of Greenland before we start to make our way across to Canada. It is another day at sea, so after we're done in Greenland, we have another day at sea to cross over the Davis Strait. And again, it will be filled with lots of programming, lectures, workshops, lots of fun events as well. We like to do theme night dinners, we do lots of trivia games, so there's lots to keep you engaged. What I'd like to mention here is for both of these days at sea, the Davis Strait is, it's not a very rough body of water. There's only one current that moves up the Greenland coast, and then as it cools, it starts to wrap around down Ellesmere Island and then down Baffin Island. So there's only really one current, and so there's no collision of currents, which makes it easy sailing. And then also because the body of water isn't very large, we don't really have the opportunity for large waves. So it's usually a very calm sailing across. But of course, we can't predict the weather. There still will be storms that come through from time to time. But again, the Ocean Endeavor is a very stable ship. But it's nothing like you would experience down in Antarctica where there could be very strong storms. You don't get that up in the Canadian Arctic and Greenland. So once we cross over, we're going to the community of Mi'kmaq, also known as Pond Inlet. So here we'll visit a Canadian Arctic community, again, learning about the way of life in an Arctic community. And we'll get some cultural presentations. It's wonderful to see some throat singing and some drum dancing, and of course try some local delicacies as well, so tasting some local foods, and great opportunities for picking up souvenirs and possibly some artwork. After Mi'kmaq, we're going to head into probably one of my favorite destinations in the Canadian Arctic is this particular area in Lancaster Sound. So this is our newest marine protected area in Canada, and it is huge. It's 131,000 square kilometers, an area equivalent to Greece. So it's really, really big. And why this is one of our newest marine protected areas is there is an abundance of wildlife. So we spend numerous days in Lancaster Sound, and this is going to be optimal area for wildlife viewing. Now we at Adventure Canada, we always speak highly of the Arctic Big Five, and I'll just do a quick introduction to them now. Of course, highlighting the Arctic Big Five is going to be polar bears, and they will see them out on the land, but we also will have opportunities to see them out on the sea ice. So from the expedition ship, you can get really good views of polar bears. You are going to want to have your binoculars with you, and if you're a photographer, you're going to need a telephoto lens because we do stay safe distances away from the wildlife. We're not there to disrupt them, just to enjoy their presence. Also part of the Arctic Big Five is the muskox pictured here, very large land animal, and they tend to hang out in herds, so you see them in groups at a time, and they're very beautiful to see out on the land. An Arctic itinerary wouldn't be fulfilled unless we had the chance for a walrus as well, so we always are on the lookout for a walrus, very interesting marine mammal. And then the hardest of the five is going to be the narwhal, the unicorn of the sea. They have this tusk that protrudes out of their mouth, and it's very sensitive, so it's like tooth enamel. So think if you had a cavity in your tooth and you were eating ice cream, it's very similar to this. And so the vibrations of the expedition ship and the smaller zodiacs, they're not too fond of that. So these are very rare to spot on our itinerary, so I want to throw that out there, but there still is a chance to see narwhal. And then more common is the beluga whale. So these small white whales that hang out in large pods, it's much more common to see the beluga whales than the narwhal. So not only the Arctic Big Five can be found in in Lancaster Sound, but also a variety of different land mammals and marine mammals. We're seeing more and more orcas these days as the ice continues to recede. We're seeing more and more orcas start to explore these waterways, which is affecting migration patterns of a number of different species. So of course, we're going to learn all about the changing climate and what's happening in the north throughout all of our expeditions. But then also birds and wildflowers. I mentioned the opportunity for that in the July and August months. So this is a great opportunity for those that are interested in seabirds. And then the final highlight for me is the Beachy Island experience. Here we're going to visit the gravesite of the ill-fated Sir John Franklin expedition that had to overwinter here for a couple of years. And there's a number of his men that unfortunately perished while they were on Beachy Island. So we're going to learn all about the history of this very significant polar exploration expedition, but not only Sir John Franklin. We're going to look at them all: Roald Amundsen, John Ray. There's so many names that were exploring this neck of the woods for hundreds of years. So we're going to learn all about the polar explorers through both expeditions. So after Beachy Island, then it's over to the community of Resolute, and then that flight will return us back into Ottawa. So if you're doing both the Heart of the Arctic and the High Arctic expedition, then you just have to get in and out of Ottawa. There's no other transit location, so it makes it for a very easy in and out and planning of your trip pre and post of the expedition cruise. The program. So once again, I thank you very much for your time today, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.